You know, when it was announced that James Gunn was taking over DC Studios, I was cautiously optimistic. I mean, I like most of his films. Slither and Super are great, and so were the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. The third one could have been worse, and I'll leave it at that. But The Suicide Squad is probably my favorite DC Comics movie ever. It's like if someone asked, "Hey Nate, what would you do with a DC movie?" Oh, I'd have Starro fight the Polka Dot Man. Alright, we've got you covered, buddy. And at first, when he announced the lineup of projects, I was pretty into it. I mean, I wasn't hyped for all of them, but I appreciated the use of some more obscure characters. You know, instead of just seeing the same shit over and over. A Green Lantern TV show and Swamp Thing movie sounded great. At least until I saw the people he had hired to make them. Also, where's all the projects, James? It's been 2 years and only one has come out and it fucking sucks. Creature Commandos was a show I was fairly excited for. My exposure to these guys is actually a bit odd. I first read the Flashpoint comic version of their origin, which is honestly pretty good and is still my favorite story for the team, but I've since gone back and read the original run as well. And just my luck, this show barely pulls from any of that stuff. Nice. Nah, go with New 52 instead. I mean, who didn't love the New 52, am I right? Now, people in general seem to have liked this show, but you know what? I don't. The main thing I hear is it's fun, or just turn your brain off and enjoy it. And I can do that. Transformers the movie is one of my favorite films ever, and if you start paying attention to continuity, you're gonna have a stroke. But the thing is, Gunn has proven he can do more than this in the past. And with how he hyped up the characters and shit, I think it's fair to say this show isn't just meant to be mindless schlock. And so, I'm gonna judge it as such. So here's a quick rundown of the plot, because hopefully you didn't actually waste your time watching this. Like me. The very real nation of Pakistan is at war with the Amazonian sorceress Circe and her incel army. No, I am not kidding.
Word is they have the most incredible waterfalls. I have this question for all the woke feminists out there.
Amanda Waller can't use people for her Suicide Squad anymore, so she assembles the Creature Commandos, a team composed entirely of monsters, many of which are still technically people, but whatever. And Rick Flag Sr.'s there too, but he's not an inmate. The team consists of the Bride of Frankenstein, the tough, no-nonsense Brit, Dr. Phosphorus, who isn't the guy from Batman Beyond even though he really looks like him, the Weasel, that amazing character from the Suicide Squad, Nina, a fish woman, and G.I. Robot, who lives for the simple things like killing Nazis. Rick hits it off with the Princess of Pakistan, who they've been assigned to protect. I guess she just can't resist his white, spiky hair and beard. Meanwhile, the bride befriends Nina and reveals her psycho stalker simp killed her boyfriend. And oh shit, he's still after her. The team beats Circe, but she tells Waller the princess is gonna conquer the world and proves it with a vision. Waller tells Rick to kill the princess, but he refuses. And when he goes home, he finds Eric Frankenstein, who is so insecure he thinks because Rick and the bride talked, they're fucking. They sort it out and Flag agrees to be his wingman, but first they gotta check out the professor who backed up Circe's vision powers. Turns out she was being impersonated by Clayface and the whole thing is a ruse. After a bunch of pointless shenanigans, Frankenstein catches up with the bride and just gets shot down. They get stopped from killing the princess and the whole thing is sorted out. Except she actually was evil and was manipulating everyone the whole time, so the bride rectifies the situation.
Headshot.
And that's it, that's the show. Now, if that sounded kind of boring and thin to you, glad we're in agreement. The show really feels like the direct translation of an outline, the broad strokes of a story that's meant to be expanded upon and fleshed out. It also feels like James Gunn wrote it on his couch in a weekend. Let's start with the characters because they're really the biggest problem for me. The bride is your typical no-nonsense attitude tough leader with a hidden, slightly kinder side and a tragic backstory. She also forms a relationship with a young, more innocent member of the group and, hey, wait a minute. So Eric Frankenstein asked his creator to make him a living real doll because he was lonely, but she fell for her creator instead. So is this incest and necrophilia? Anyway, Eric here is pissed he got cucked, so he kills Victor Frankenstein and thinks this will go over well with the bride. It does not. And so that's why the bride is such a hard ass. And aside from that, not very much to her. The only real addition to her character is the relationship with Nina, but spoilers, that doesn't really go anywhere. Aside from that, it's also revenge when she kills the villain at the end. Although it's not really earned since the thing she's getting revenge for happened like 5 minutes ago. Also, why is she in jail? We get literally no reason as to why. What crime did she commit? She doesn't really get an arc, and again, I've seen this before done better. She also has 4 arms in the comics, but they left that out for ease of animation and possible live-action appearances. I mean, on that level I get it, but it might have helped to make her stand out more, since as is, she's just another shooter. Rick Flag is the most boring one on the team, which is fucking saying something. He has literally no other personality than being a wee bit sad his son is dead and getting tricked like an idiot. It's also weird, isn't it, that the white-haired old badass guy exists just to fuck a blonde girl? I don't know, kinda feels like I'm reading a Linkara story. You could cut him from the show and it would make little difference. His promise to help Frankenstein goes nowhere. His relationship with the princess doesn't amount to much of anything aside from him getting duped. Him being in the show? Yeah, not needed. He just gets his ass kicked and fucks off halfway and basically existed only to get seduced and tricked, like a living plot device. He's also supposed to be super dedicated to his country, but immediately betrays his team when he thinks something is up. You're telling me a pretty face is all it takes for you to turn your back on? Yeah, fuck, I'd do the same. G.I. Robot was actually pretty... Oh. Weasel worked as a gag character in the Suicide Squad, but did anyone actually want to see him in the forefront? Here they try to explain he didn't really kill 27 children, but he was just a nice weasel creature chilling in the woods, I guess. He happened upon some kids who he befriended, and it was all just a big misunderstanding. First of all, sounds like an excuse you'd give Chris Hansen. But second of all, why do we need this? Part of what I loved about the Suicide Squad is the chemistry the team had. Everyone played off each other well, and you get a lot of moments where they learn about each other and strengthen their bonds. But in terms of the actual dynamics, it's only Nina and the Bride that really interact in a meaningful way.
It's because I was saving you again, idiot.
Because you are, my friend?
Get over yourself, fish.
Oh, but my mistake. We needed more of this. He just befriends a group of wolves in the woods. Does he end up, like, leading them? Does anything happen with it? No. It's like the whole Guardians of the Galaxy 3 thing where you gotta feel bad for the little creature. But it actually worked for me there because they weren't annoying as fuck. And just to rub salt in the wound, he got one of the few characters I actually liked killed. Dr. Phosphorus was pretty fun, though. He didn't really have an arc or anything, and some of his lines were just...
You're certainly current with your popular cultural references.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sarcastic smile.
But his episode was one of the more fun ones, and he gets a fairly fleshed out backstory. You know, without dying immediately after. Once he was a cancer researcher trying to develop a cure with radioactive equipment. Only thing is, he decided to get his funding from the Gotham mob. And when he realized their boss, Rupert Thorne, wanted to use it as a weapon, they killed his family. Although the scene is so overdone, it's almost comical. Like, Jesus, we get it. A lot of moments in the show feel like they're trying too hard with the tragedy, and they just bombard you with it. Like, I could only feel so bad for characters when one dies horribly almost every episode. They try and kill the Doctor with his own tech instead of, just shooting him. But I guess they forgot metahumans exist, since what did they think was gonna happen? Radiation doesn't kill anyone in this universe. He takes over the mob, but I guess any mobster in Gotham has holes in their brain, since he also didn't see the obvious coming. But in the show, we see that he just wants companionship and above all his family back more than anything. It shows that while he tried to compensate for his loss with possessions and power, it just can't replace what he once had. Nothing really comes of this, but hey, at least it was something interesting. Also, his powers are completely inconsistent. One second he melts anything he touches until the writers don't want him to. And then there's Nina. Poor Nina. She was born with the unfortunate condition of having her lungs on the outside of her body, but when her scientist dad tried to help, it only made it worse by turning her into a fish. So when she eventually tried to integrate into society, it was like when a kid at a cushy private school takes his first steps into the real world. Her dad tries to intervene, but gets blasted by the cops, even though you think they would have tased him first. One of my favorite creatures in fiction is Abe Sapien from Hellboy, who is also a fish humanoid who serves on a team of monstrous heroes, specifically the version depicted in Guillermo del Toro's films. He works because there's a certain innocence to the performance. Even though he's a weird fish man, he's by far the kindest face around. He's kinda childlike in terms of his innocence, but it also means he can be a bit naive. Nina is basically Abe in terms of characterization. Hell, she's even got a gruff buddy who's more of a fighter. But hey, at least her friendship with the Bride was something, and she was actually likable. I wonder where this sympathetic, tragic backstory and her dynamic with her teammate will go. Fuck. Nina gets killed in the final episode, which is also where we learn her backstory. There's no real big crescendo, all of the action happened earlier. So instead, most of this episode is padded out with her backstory, long after it would have been effective to show it. Like, let us see this earlier and build on it with the Bride. Maybe they can bond more through that and help each other to work through some of the trauma. Or you could just have her unceremoniously die after wasting our time showing this backstory that has no fucking consequence. That works too, I guess. All it amounts to is the Bride being kinda grumpy and going like, you killed my friend. Peacemaker was a show I didn't love, but one thing it got right for me was the very end. After all that character had been through, it felt fitting to have a somber ending where all this shit really weighs on him, and you actually get to see him, reflect on it a bit. That doesn't really happen here, and anything close to a resolution we do get, like the rest of the show, feels pretty rushed.
I mean, seriously,
Themyscira is like the sickest place ever, and then you tell me, oh dude, only women can live there? What? That is so sexist, bro.
The villains aren't much of an improvement, because DC Comics has, in my mind, the greatest lineup of fictional antagonists. And if there's one thing I love about James Gunn, it's that he's not afraid to give more obscure and weirder characters a chance. So who do we get in this show? Cersei, an Amazonian witch lady, Clayface, and a princess. Clayface is just there. I don't fully know what his role was within the plan or what the princess specifically wanted him to do. He's impersonating the college professor, but why? If he was trying to trick someone, you'd think he wouldn't have left her stinking corpse upstairs. Was he supposed to get found out and make them doubt the information given? But if that's the case, why would he try and kill the people who found out? Because kicking Flag's ass just made it harder for him to relay the information. If anything, this made her more likely to get assassinated. He barely has any lines either, and if this is the Clayface we're supposedly getting a film of, yeah, I'm not exactly jumping for joy. Also, Clayface doesn't die from electricity, what the fuck? Cersei and her incel army were the worst part of this fucking show for me. First of all, if you hate women so much, why are you working for one? Second off, who the fuck wanted this? Everyone says this show is supposed to be fun, you know, but incels don't exactly scream fun to me, it's just lame and kind of depressing. Like, why are you acknowledging these people? Again, we got this over any number of incredibly weird and interesting characters from across the comics. Cersei herself is pretty lame as well. So apparently she was trying to stop the princess from taking over the world. Okay, there's a few problems with this. One, if that bitch got taken down by the creature commandos, how the fuck do you expect me to believe she's gonna take on the Justice League? Second, if you actually want to stop her from ending the world or whatever, why didn't you go to some of those heroes? I guess she wanted to conquer it too, but surely as an Amazonian witch you can recruit better than Redditors. So that leaves us with the princess. Again, little indication of who she really is or why she's doing what she's doing, aside from just wanting to conquer the world, I guess. We see Gorilla Grodd in Cersei's premonition, but there's no other hint of him in the show, so your guess is as good as mine. Oh wait, I forgot the last villain. Eric Frankenstein. In the comics, Frankenstein is depicted as an intelligent and noble individual most of the time, and his relationship with the bride was a lot more complicated. Here, he's another fucking incel. They made him such a pathetic cuck in this show. His entire character is being sad that this woman won't fuck him. That's it. And he doesn't actually do or contribute anything meaningful to the narrative. He spends the entire show stumbling around looking for the bride, but when he finally does, he just gets shot down real quick and that's it. He's just an unlikable bastard. He casually kills people for little to no reason and is just going on and on about how much he wants this girl. James Gunn did the same shit with Vigilante before. Take a more interesting character with a serious backstory and tone, and twist them into an utter fucking joke that barely resembles the original. Change is fine if you're improving something flawed or fleshing it out, but I was hoping to see, you know, an adaptation of the Creature Commandos Frankenstein from the Creature Commandos comics. And again, just like everything else, nothing is done with him. I don't need these characters to be super deep or anything, but if you go about setting up all this backstory and characterization, you can't just leave it at that. You've got to actually develop those concepts and move them forward. And damn man, another mind-controlling monster is being set up as the main villain. What a surprise. I did not vibe with the jokes, and I get this is really subjective. But here's the thing, I have a pretty bad sense of humor. Here, for example, is, in my opinion, some of the funniest shit ever made.
Is anything else wrong?
I got one. Well, sometimes when I fall asleep at night, I think about my parents having sex, and I get really, really mad for some reason.
Okay, I'm just gonna start with the foot.
Hit Moby lately. She's wondering if you guys could put a smile on the little rascal's face. They're at 8501 West Tyson. Ow! Hey, no biting. Hey, no biting. Okay? You want me to bite you?
A police station! Thank God! I never thought I'd be happy to see one of those things. Hey, put the donuts down! Drop the Krispy Kreme Serpico! We need your help
here!
My
house look like my father and my brother after 9 months or
something.
With that being said, I barely laughed. And that is a bad fucking sign, man. It's trying to go for the same Suicide Squad quippy or lol awkward humor, which is hit or miss. Let's get some comparisons. Here's some of my favorite bits from the Suicide Squad.
You see who that is? Huh?
And here's your average bit from Creature Commandos.
I have question for you, skeleton. Where's the beef?
Jesus Christ, Blood Meridian is funnier than this. What's really unforgivable is the music. Now, usually if James Gunn can do anything right, it's a good soundtrack. The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2 soundtracks are some of my favorite collections of music ever. But for this, he decided to bust out whatever this is. It just doesn't fucking fit. Like, I've seen people try and defend it, saying it's supposed to be music that fits with Picolistan, but it's just too fucking goofy for me. Some of the licensed songs are okay, but most of the tracks just feel really out of place. Now, I'm not saying this is the worst show I've seen or anything like that. There is stuff to like, and if you did enjoy it, that's fine. I think the biggest issue with the show is its runtime, and just how poorly it's handled. You're wasting at least 2 episodes establishing characters who are just here to get killed off and have no real bearing on the plot. And also, we needed more synergy between the team. We barely get to see them operate as one, and everybody just feels so shallow. But what it probably needed the most was an actual good story. Because for fuck's sake, I was so bored just trying to keep up with whatever nonsense was happening. I don't really know how to end this bit, so, bye, I guess.